Now, despite the country's continued strides in various sectors, the Prime Minister recently announced Jamaica is missing the mark for 2030. Adrian Williams shares expert reactions on that development.
Even though we had our Vision 2030 before the development goals were put in place, we have been doing very well on our development goals. We have done an assessment, and we're not going to hit developed country status by 2030. But hey, hear what? Jamaica is doing the best out of all the Caribbean countries.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, addressing a diaspora town hall in New York at the weekend, mentioned that Jamaica would not be attaining developed state status by 2030. Vision 2030 was designed back in 2009 to drive social transformation and effect significant improvements to the living standards of all Jamaicans. Development economist Dr. Chris Stokes weighs in on the revelation.
Look, it was ambitious. It was extremely ambitious. I mean, the level of growth rates that we'd need in the economy, the amount of investment that we'd need in education and infrastructure, electricity, crime prevention, are really astounding and beyond what could reasonably be projected.
Using Ireland as an example of a nation that moved from a middle-income status to a high-income status in 10 years, The Economist says for Jamaica, the expected time frame for the extent of progress was aggressive, with the various challenges to be resolved.
Education had to happen before many other things, and also focusing on bringing crime under control through different mechanisms. It's one of the conditions precedent to the sort of broad-scale economic development, social index development that we'd want to see in the country. So yes, they have been a drag on the direction that we want to go in, but they're not unexpected, and in fact, they were listed in the plan as issues to be addressed.
Having a high gross domestic product, GDP, advanced infrastructure, and access to education and healthcare are key factors driving a country to develop state classification. Dr. Stokes believes, despite that expectation sliding to the dismal end of the spectrum for Vision 2030, Jamaica is not short of attaining progress.
There's any small country in the world that can do it. I believe Jamaica is that country. The implementation strategy, as opposed to the national development strategy, the implementation strategy, I believe, needs to be revisited. And I think based on what we have been able to do in the past, based on the capacity that we have not to do things going forward, and what the implementation strategy is, I would suggest that we should leave it to the PIOG to come back with a longer-term projection as to when we can hit what marks.
Dr. Stokes maintains achieving progress step by step would be ideal, after which a more accurate projected timeline can be made. Adrian Williams for CVM News.